Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to another special program tagged My Experience with DSA. Well, Dr. Sunday on the 28th of May would be celebrating his 54th year on the planet Earth. And what we've decided to do to celebrate his birthday this year is to have a few of his disciples, family members, friends who have known him for decades to talk about some experiences they've had with the celebrant himself behind cameras, what we don't get to see on TV, and perhaps through them sharing their experiences with us, we can learn one or two things that could help us become better human beings. To review even more of some of the qualities of Dr. Sunday that could make us more effective and to make us more productive in life. My name is Anu Ojo, and you're very much welcome to day 4 on this special program. As you're joining us on Facebook and on YouTube, thank you for joining us today. I'd like to encourage you to please go ahead and share. You can share by just clicking on the share icon, and by doing that, you get to inform other people who might not have gotten a notification that we are live now. Yesterday, we had an amazing time. It was our pastor's sister, Olaide Alaba, who shared our experience with Dr. Sunday with us. If you missed that episode, the way to do that is to go to Dr. Sunday's YouTube channel. That is Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Dr. Sunday Adelaja. That's Dr. Sunday Adelaja. And then just go to the video sections. You're going to see not just that of Pastor's sister, Olaide Alaba, that was conducted yesterday, but you see that of day 1 and day 2. And guess what? Today is not the final day. We're going to keep having until the 28th of May, when Dr. Sunday will be marking and celebrating his 54th birthday. So I also like to encourage everyone who would like to send in a congratulatory message, or you want to share about your experiences with Dr. Sunday. The way to do that is to record a video of yourself, irrespective of the length of the video. Go ahead, do a very great video, an excellent quality video, and then send to us. You could send to Move Agents. That is our email, moveagents@gmail.com. moveagents@gmail.com. Send it to us. We'll be happy to get those videos, compile them together, and release them, publish them on Dr. Sunday's YouTube channel. Guess what? Today we have a Ukrainian with us. I'm guessing you can see that from the name. Today I have a gentleman in the building. He has also known Dr. Sunday for decades, and I am interested to ask him some questions about his personal experiences that he has had with Dr. Sunday. And I hope that today would be another impactful session to learn from these testimonies, and I hope that you will be blessed. Without further ado, I would like you to welcome with me on today's episode, Mr. I don't even have to call him Pastor, but anyways, his name is Igor Kotelnikov. Welcome, sir.
Hi.
Good to have you.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure for me actually to take part in this experience with DSA program and share my experience of my life with DSA. How do I know him? How he has influenced my life? Yeah, it's a great pleasure.
Fantastic. You're welcome. Thank you for saying yes to the invitation. We appreciate that. So guess what, guys?
Pleasure.
We have Mr. Igor here, and we are interested to know his story, his experiences with Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Right off the beginning, I would like to ask you, when was the very first time you heard about Dr. Sunday Adelaja? Perhaps that time it wasn't Dr. Sunday, it was Pastor Sunday Adelaja.
Yes. Yeah, for the very first time I've heard about Pastor Sunday Adelaja in the year 2000.
In
It
the
was
year
a
2000.
long time ago, 21 years ago.
That's 21 years ago. Wow. Okay. How did you hear about him?
Well, that year I came to Kiev as a student.
Wow.
And my mom sent me to this church.
She sent you to the church.
Yeah, it was
Fantastic.
Word of Faith church in those days, and later on it was it changed the name to God Embassy Church. So it was, I remember it very well. It was 25th of June, the day of my spiritual birthday.
Wow.
I came to Sunday service, and I remember, something just pushed me to the stage where Pastor Sunday was inviting everyone for repentance, and we were reading a prayer of repentance, and then that day I gave my life to Christ. That was almost 21 years ago.
Wow. That's over
in June we will celebrate 21 years ago.
Wow.
21 years.
Amazing.
So it was the time when I've heard about Pastor Sunday for the first time, and I started going to this church. I started attending every service, night prayer, Thursday service, Sunday service, and this is where I was getting to know more and more about Pastor Sunday, and this is where I actually began to learn from him many things.
Wow.
You know, you cannot have a simple list of things that you can learn from Pastor Sunday. Same for me.
Volumes of books.
Exactly.
Two questions, two follow-up questions I'm going to ask you. The very first question is, you said your mom sent you to the church. Was she a member of the church?
She was from another city.
Okay.
But by God's provision, I can say, we had a brochure, small brochure that I don't know how did it came to us, to our small city that is 1,000 kilometers away from Kiev, where the central church was located. Yeah, and we had this brochure, and it was saying, the brochure title was "The Power of a Lion."
The Power of a Lion.
Yeah, and on the back side of this brochure there was an address of the church.
Good.
So she just told me, just go to this church, and you should stick to this church.
Wow,
So,
interesting.
yeah.
Cool. The second question I was going to ask you is, so you got to this church and you saw a black man on the stage. What was your first impression seeing a black man? And I'm sure he was teaching in Russian.
Yes.
Had you ever seen that before? Because that was still when we had I don't know if 21 years ago, did we still have the Soviet Union? No, I think it was already collapsed.
No, it was
collapsed already.
Collapsed, yeah. It was the year 2000, yeah.
That was 2000, it was collapsed, definitely. So what was it like seeing a black man preach and teach in English?
Honestly,
Sorry, in Russian.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't wonder to me. I don't know why, but I didn't have any problem with seeing an African pastor on the stage and preaching to us in Russian. Maybe that's because of my worldview. I believe that even at that time I had quite a wide worldview, and that was enough. That was normal for me to see foreigners. Actually, I knew English, and I listened, and I discovered a lot of materials, and I knew that there are a lot of foreigners, different people of different color, of different language and culture. So that was not a problem to me, honestly. But I know many people, friends of mine, who I was inviting to the church, and even some relatives. It was quite confusing. But I think that was due to the worldview.
Well, okay, so their worldview. So if you're going to say, as a Ukrainian, you step into his church, right? And then you see Pastor Sunday with 99.9% of your people all white. Did that fascinate you?
Honestly, what fascinated me most was the messages and the content that I have heard and the words that I have heard from this man's mouth.
So you didn't even pay attention to what was around. It was just the message that he was teaching and what he was saying.
Yeah, but I think this is maybe my peculiarity, because I was paying attention to what person was saying. And from the very first days, actually Pastor Sunday had very good accent. I mean, very good accent those days.
Russian accent, yeah.
So it was very difficult for some people to really comprehend him, what he was saying and so on. But I overcame it very fast, and I was so hungry for the Word of God. I was so hungry for what he was saying, because if you have interest in what person is saying, you don't care how this person is dressed, what is the color of his skin, what accent he has. It absolutely doesn't matter. And I believe my early years in this church, we had different conditions. At those days, actually, church had very difficult situation with premises, and we couldn't have enough comfort as we wanted to have. The hall was overcrowded. We had to stand throughout the church, throughout the service.
Wow.
You had to stand at the back gates to see, to hear, from the very back gate to hear what pastor was saying, because there was no place in the hall. But it never confused me.
Wow.
And it never was, a situation when, I don't understand why this is happening, why African pastor is preaching, and why people are listening to him. No, this never came to my mind. I just felt that what this man was saying is very true, and it helps me.
Wow. So you were able to take his message, you applied it, and you saw that this was beneficial to me. I could use it and I could make my life better.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, when I came to Christ and when I came to this church, I was 16 by then, and I actually didn't have strong character. I didn't have someone to follow in my life, because I grew fatherless.
Okay.
So I was looking for someone or something to fill my character or to rebuild my character.
Okay.
And I'm very grateful to God that I actually came to this church and I met Pastor Sunday, because through his messages, through his life, through his ministry, teachings, everything that Pastor Sunday poured out of his heart, inspired by the Word of God, by the wisdom that he has from the perspective of his life, this actually has helped me to build my character.
Wow.
And this is what I'm really grateful to God for, and for the church, and for Pastor Sunday, for everything that happened to me, because this teaching, the wisdom that Pastor Sunday was teaching us as church members, it really built my character, and continuously it built my life. It helped me to build my life.
Wow, amazing. So you talked about you growing up without a father. So would you say coming to Dr. Sunday or coming to the church, Dr. Sunday sort of took that father figure in your life?
Yes. Yes, I can fully say that. And I don't know any other man who would help me, or who has filled this gap in my life as Pastor Sunday did.
Wow.
Yeah, as if we speak about father's role.
Father,
yeah, this is what biological fathers should do. They should, give values. They should give confidence. They should always give and show acceptance.
Beautiful.
And they should guide their children, their sons, throughout their lives. And this is what I received here, having Pastor Sunday as, first of all, my spiritual father, then spiritual mentor. Then I had the privilege to be a home group member of Pastor Sunday. So I used to attend a number of home groups and different leadership classes that Pastor Sunday used to organize. Actually, this has this opportunity, being close to Pastor Sunday, being a member of the church, member of home groups, it actually gave me a lot of, a lot of fullness in my life, a lot of qualities, a lot of features of character that I was able to adopt and build my life on it.
Beautiful. You know, what you're saying might sound simple to some people, but I think it's very deep, because it's one thing to be in a church and have a pastor just be a pastor, you know. I mean, most pastors just come and preach to you, you know, or teach you and all of that. But I think it's a whole different ball game when the person who is a pastor, your spiritual father, assumes responsibility as like a father, almost like a biological father to you. And as you were talking about how it provides, you know, guidance to you, it gives you confidence and all of that. That is not just spiritual in nature. These are things, I mean, building one's character is not a spiritual, you know, thing. It's something that has to do with your psyche, your soul, your mind, you know, basically. So I think what would make our conversation even more real, if you don't mind, is to share some peculiar experiences or some examples of how Dr. Sunday showed up in your life and how he helped you maybe build confidence, how he helped you, you know, give guidance. If you don't mind, maybe a few examples, practical examples, a story that could just flesh out some of these things in practice.
Well, what I can say here is that I remember a lot of moments when that I could bring as example. But first of all, I want to highlight, and this is what still amazes me, is that you know, the level of greatness of Pastor Sunday's personality, and I want to explain this dimension of greatness as I mean it. The greatness is when you were saying that Pastor Sunday was able to become a father, or he is able to become a father to, you know, to me or to many people in the church. Actually, this is very hard. You know, to be so attentive to every church member.
Yeah, it's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
Yeah.
So that you know, maybe he was not that. We were not that close during my first years in the church, because he has traveled a lot. But I met him occasionally. I used to usher. I used to service in. I used to be an usher, or the ushers team or security team. Then I worked with international guests, and I spent some time with Pastor Sunday. So I noticed how he treats people and how he notices people. One of the greatest features of Pastor Sunday's character is how he notices people.
Wow.
I was amazed when, during one summer fast, I was as a bodyguard with him, and I was just following him everywhere, and I was helping to carry his bag and all that stuff. And I was just amazed at by one situation when we came for a lunch, and you know, the people were around them, like the cook or someone was around Pastor Sunday, that was in Pusha Voditsa sanatorium next to this place, and while he was eating, he was paying attention to the most, from one hand, insignificant person in the whole place, in the whole so to say place that was happening around. That was a cook that served food for him, but he treated her with such love. You know, she just showed up brought the food and came back. But he treated her with such love, so much attention. He gave her so many compliments. You know that she was maybe the happiest person on that spot at that moment. So, and this is one of the things that amazed me back then, that he pays attention to people, he notices people. Even if people think or behave as the most insignificant people, or maybe they think about themselves, they're the most insignificant people. But this is one of the features of Pastor Sunday's character that makes him great, and it makes him great spiritual father for many people, not only for me. So another experience that I would like to share is also just these things were happening very often when Pastor Sunday was just passing me by, and he was asking a question like, "How is your mama doing?" He just knew that my mom is there, and I have my mom, but he was remembering very few details. He knew very few details about her. But and after not seeing him maybe for a month, he was passing by and, "How is your mom doing? How is she? And where is she? How is your family?" and so on. And this amazed me to such point that he really tries to be attentive. He pays attention to many details of your personal life, and he is very open to mentor. He is very open to accept everybody in his heart. So his heart is so wide, and this is obviously by the grace of God, by the level of his spiritual growth, his spiritual mightiness, magnificence, that his heart is capable to accept as many people as possible, I would say. Yeah.
Wow, that's remarkable.
And this quality really helps him to be a father for many.
Let me jump in very quickly, because some things you're saying are very, very, relevant in our day-to-day activities. Let's make a reference to your first point about how Dr. Sunday notices people. It's a different thing when I have a church of like 100 people or maybe 50 people. Then it's easy for me to notice, okay, this person is in church, this person is not in church. Okay, I can see you because you guys are 50 in a small hall. But at the time when you came to church and all of the experiences you were talking about, Dr. Sunday was pastoring how many people at that time?
Oh, that was tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. So imagine, and you're not the first person who is saying and who has said to me as a Ukrainian that even while Dr. Sunday was pastoring tens of thousands of people, he was still able to remember and to notice you. And I'm like, okay, I saw you at this place. If you mention, if you at any point said your name to him, he remembers your name. And then he calls you by your name and it's like, "Oh, I saw you at this program," And it is, I think the question I want to ask is that, what did that mean to you to be noticed by Pastor Sunday? What did that evoke in you? What did it make you feel as an individual?
Well, it makes me feel valued. When pastor of a big church, with all his duties and all his situations that he has to handle and manage, and all the problems that people throw at him, if he is able to pass by you and call you by name and talk to you personally, not in general, like, "How are you? I hope you're doing well." But if he remembers you, I think that, or to me, it shows the attitude that you are really valued, and it shows that Pastor Sunday really can value people, individuals. And I'm surprised at what price he was able to develop such ability. But this is obviously that feeling that I feel that I'm valued. If person of such a great highness, of such a great, this person flies high, and at that time I was just a regular young man, teenager, like who was just showing up in the church. And I believe everybody felt the same way when Pastor Sunday spoke to them personally and showed maximum attention to them and noticed them. I just felt valued.
And it's what you're saying is just so. This is Dr. Sunday, and I also remember my very first experience, which I already spoke about on the first day. The very first time I had the opportunity to come to stay in the house, and Dr. Sunday called me and he sat down and he was engaging me in a conversation, showing so much interest in me, wanting to know who I am, wanting to know my parents, wanting to know how are they doing, what are they doing, what about me, what am I doing, where am I, what are my plans, how, and it's almost like you don't know me from anywhere. And I can see genuine interest in me, and I love what you said, that feeling of you being valued. And I've had many people say that when they came close to Dr. Sunday, they felt, more than they've ever felt in their life. They felt like they were important. They felt like they were significant, they were somebody, And that is that. What role do you think that played in the success of Dr. Sunday's ministry personally?
I think that just like it had effect on me, and most probably it had effect on you. For instance, seeing Pastor Sunday's attitude to me, I felt valued, and it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson. Like, if such person like Pastor Sunday, with all his obligations, with all his busyness, with all his things that he is trying to hold in his heart and arms, if he is able to treat to me that I feel myself valued and I feel better, then I must be the one to have the same attitude to other people, and I can help others feel valued, feel better, feel that in this church or in my home group or in my group of influence, they are valued, and it will bring people closer to me, to church, to Christ. This is what is important. When we, if that's the right word to say, transpond kingdom values. If we transmit kingdom values, then these kingdom values, they build church. So these values and this attitude that Pastor Sunday showed to me and showed to you is like a cement that builders use, to put between the bricks.
Yeah, that's right.
And bricks, cement, they build a wall of the church or of organization or of any group of people that has to work together, that has to follow one mission, that has to follow one vision. So this is the lesson that I have learned. And this is really a small example. You see, we speak about one feature of character when Pastor Sunday shows that everybody is valued, and this is like one sort of cement or one grain in the cement that you can use as an example. But on the large scale, on the scale where Pastor Sunday operates, where Pastor Sunday flies, you can see that this impact is global.
Yeah, that's right.
Because many people have felt this way. Many people have learned these principles. Many people were felt valued, or felt loved, or felt being taken care of through this attitude that comes from Pastor Sunday, from his followers, from pastors of daughter churches, from leaders of organizations that were established under God Embassy Church or under Pastor Sunday's mentorship. Many people were influenced by Pastor Sunday. They are now in business. And they build successful business organizations by application of the same principles. When you share the principles of Kingdom of God to people through you, then it builds kingdom, it builds organizations, it builds people's destinies and lives. So this is my lesson. This is my, so to say, the resume of what I would like to take away with me from this dimension of Pastor Sunday's life and Pastor Sunday's personality.
2 days ago, I interviewed a pastor from Brunei, that's far away in Asia, and he was sharing his experience with us about his interaction with Dr. Sunday, and I loved the term he used. He said Dr. Sunday is a personal person. And I felt like that was beautiful, because he didn't just say he's just a person, but he said he's a personal person, meaning, just like what you said, he knows you personally and is interested in you as an individual. And that, I see no better example, even with the life of Jesus and even God, being interested in each individual. And I study the scriptures and I see how Jesus also was, was responding and was reacting to people. I mean, it was by the well that day with the lady of Samaria.
Yeah, I just recalled this story.
Yeah, he was right there and he was having a very personal, intimate time, and he gave her all of his attention. And we see that, in expression. And as I'm sharing this example of Jesus, I just remember one of the things that Dr. Sunday says he wants to be remembered for when he dies. I mean, he has talked about him not being interested in, being remembered as the one who wrote over 1,000 books or having the biggest church or being a millionaire. He says that is not his own, goal. He says, I would use my own words, that when he goes, he wants it to be that when people are trying to look at the difference between Jesus, how Jesus is and how he lived, and how Jesus lived and how Dr. Sunday lived, it will be very difficult for them to differentiate. Meaning he wants to try his best to model Christ to the best of his ability.
And I think he did it very well.
And he's doing that even
He's doing it very well up to now, yeah.
But one of the interesting things I want to change gear a little bit, right? Dr. Sunday has shared his own experience with the Ukrainians. I mean, you're Ukrainian, so if you would oblige me, I'll ask you some questions that relates to Dr. Sunday's relationship with Ukrainians, and especially with the church. Of course, there were situations where some church members, sort of left, and left the church. But you're here, and you've seen how Dr. Sunday handled it. What surprises you, or what, maybe not surprise, can you share some of the things that you were able to pick from Dr. Sunday's attitude and response to people who he had sacrificed his life for and lived for, and they just believed lies and despised him? From how did he handle it from your own personal experience, and what did that mean to you, and what can we learn from it?
Well, I'm recalling those days, and one of the most frequently used phrases that Dr. Sunday was using, commenting on those situations, it was in Russian. It says, "Собака лает, караван идет." The dog is barking, but camels keep on going.
Wow.
So the lesson here is that you have to be focused on your purpose. You have to be focused on your ministry. You have to be focused on your global life goals, or on revelation that God wants revealed to you about your life and about your ministry. And we have to admit, and this is what Pastor Sunday did, we have to admit that everybody makes mistakes on their lifetime, and not only you make mistakes, some other things happen, like economical situations, economical crises, when those events started happening. After economical crisis, many people began to blame a church or Pastor Sunday that it was involved, or he was involved, or something like that. And but okay, even if that has happened, even if that took place, you don't have to remember, you don't have to forget about goals that God has determined for your life. You don't have to forget about vision that God has showed you that you have to follow. You don't have to forget about revelation that moved you from the very beginning. So you have to stick to that, and whatever happens, people may have good lives, but you are not secured from anything that may happen in your life, and this may lead you away from your main course, main purpose for some time. But if you stick to your purpose, if you stick to the revelation, to the voice of God, then you will come back to your course, and you will continue, and you will keep on moving to your purpose. So I believe that this is how Pastor Sunday, this is the lesson that I would take out from Pastor Sunday's reaction to this situation, that some people left from the church, some people maybe got offended by the situations that have happened.
He maintained his goal.
Yeah, he maintained his goal, and he keeps on following his goal. I recently recalled his life goals, and one of his life goals is to reach or save 500 million people. I think he's following it every day, regardless the situations that are happening around.
Amazing.
And we just have to stick to this. We have to follow our goals, because this is the only way to continue in the crisis or after crisis, whatever happens in life.
Wow, amazing. So your goal, your ultimate goal, your global goal has to be priority, despite what happens. People would come, people would go, challenges would come, crisis could strike, but you have to keep going on. You have to keep moving. And I love what you said about the phrase, the dog while the dog is barking, the camel keeps moving.
Yeah, caravan keeps moving.
Yeah, keeps moving. So they don't pay attention to the noise or to the back of the dog, but it keeps moving forward. And that's a very important lesson that we all can learn too from Dr. Sunday's life. And I see it with him. It's almost like nothing stops him.
Yeah, and what I just want to add to this is that just going back to my early years in the church, and just recalling my whole life in the church, there were different things, crises with the church. Some people wanted to cast us out of the premises where we were gathering, worshiping, and then somebody was attacking Pastor Sunday to deprive him of his residence permit.
They wanted to deport him.
Yeah, they wanted to deport him, but it never stopped Pastor Sunday.
Wow.
And as years go by, crises are getting more severe and severe. They wanted to get rid of him, to deport him out of the country. They wanted to close the church. They were attacking us in many areas. Then this economical crisis happened. Then many other things happened. People were saying different things, but throughout these years, Pastor Sunday was using any available means to continue doing what he was called to be doing. I remember a time when there was evangelical movement, you know, going out for outreaches, evangelization. Then another stage when we were trying such means as NGOs, non-government organizations. When we set up, you know, there was a whole wave where the whole church opened non-government organizations to conquer more people for Christ, and we were using this method. Then it was economical structures, you know, and influence in economical realm. Then influence in the political realm. People were balloting for people's deputies, for local deputies, and so on. Now we have another crisis, and after this crisis, we cannot have assembly physically in the church as we used to have. Now we are using online tools for promotion, and era of online presence is there, and Pastor Sunday has changed and transferred his influence in online platforms, YouTube, Facebook, books. You know, he keeps on using, keeps on moving, and even this fact that he had to stay in Ukraine and he had to stop traveling, it resulted how many books? Up to 200 books.
200 books.
Yeah, look at this table. This is massive, and every crisis, Pastor Sunday turns into opportunity.
That's right. That's right.
To achieve his purpose and goals and missions. Mission that was given to him, revealed to him by God. So this is a great lesson that I also learn and I value observing in Pastor Sunday's life. It teaches me a lot, and it has to teach others a lot. But the main thing is that through this, Pastor Sunday keeps on achieving his goal. Keeps on achieving it.
I mean, to be honest, my brother, it's fascinating when I look at it. How Dr. Sunday is able to, turn everything that is negative to positive, and how he's able to handle crisis, and how he's able to, handle negative, publicity and all of that. And it's almost like every time there is some crisis or there's some negative things out there, it's what was meant to destroy him. It just converts it into a springboard that even takes him higher and higher and higher, and he keeps on achieving his goal. And I think that's a very, very important lesson for everyone who is listening today, that you can convert your crisis to opportunities. You can convert your problems to, to ministries. You can convert everything that seems bad to something good. And that is beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is beautiful. Well, let me quickly speak to our viewers who are watching us right now. I hope so far you found the conversation interesting, beneficial to you. If you're just joining, hey, you've missed a whole lot. But guess what? We're still going to continue the conversation. But the way you can save this video for yourself is by sharing this video on your timeline. If you're watching on Facebook, by doing that, you can come back when we are done to watch the video again. And if you're watching us on YouTube, no problem. The video would be on Dr. Sunday's YouTube channel. That is Dr. Sunday Adelaja. And if you've not subscribed, it would be great if you can subscribe, because by doing that, you'll be able to get notifications, whenever Dr. Sunday releases a video or whenever we come live on these programs. This is my experience with Dr. Sunday, and we're examining and hearing from testimonies and stories of people who have known Dr. Sunday for decades. For example, our guest today, Mr. Igor, has known Dr. Sunday for 21 years. That's a whole lot, and he has shared experiences and his lessons from Dr. Sunday's life, his attitude, how he, talks to people, how he pays attention. And we just talked about, how Dr. Sunday is able to handle crises and converts them into his blessings. Amazing lessons. But I'm going to continue right now with Mr. Igor, and I'm going to ask you this question. I don't know how you're going to answer it, but how would you describe, because you're Ukrainian, and we have viewers who are watching us from different parts of the world. So I guess they'll be interested to hear from a Ukrainian. How would you describe the impact of Dr. Sunday's life in the nation of Ukraine? How can you describe that in your words?
Well, to say it is huge is nothing, because I can even say that I don't want to make such a loud words, but
just say the truth.
I can say it is life-saving impact for the nation of Ukraine, and I will explain why. When I joined the church in the year 2000, there was a great movement on on help to drug addicted people.
Yeah.
And due to Pastor Sunday's activity, teachings, raising followers and ministers, he was able to raise a team that has established over, as I remember it well, over 10,000 rehabilitation centers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or maybe over 10,000 people has gone
through the rehabilitation.
Yeah, has gone through rehabilitation centers. It is over 10,000 lives that were saved from drugs, from hopeless life, and you have to add families, children of those people, codependents, codependent parents, codependent wives or husbands or children. Many lives were saved only through this single movement of rehabilitation centers, and it keeps on growing. Rehabilitation centers are working in our country, Ukraine, and not only in Ukraine. Now, former drug addicts who have successfully experienced delivery from drug addiction, they are opening rehabilitation centers not only in Ukraine but in other countries. And it goes globally, and many people want to adopt the same system for rehabilitation centers for their own churches.
Beautiful.
And this is growing. So this is one aspect. Beautiful. The other aspect is that first of all, we also have to remember that many people came to Christ through Pastor Sunday, starting from the time when he was a broadcaster on the TV channel that was, analog TV channel with a huge audience, and he was given a time on the air, and he was teaching Bible, he was preaching Bible, and he was calling people to church. So many people got saved, came to Christ, which means that they didn't go for alcohol or drug addiction. So if you speak about long term, you can't even imagine how many generations have been saved through Pastor Sunday, through his life when he just started his ministry in Ukraine.
Beautiful.
And we are speaking about him alone, but we forget all followers.
It's a whole ripple effect.
Yes.
It's a whole ripple effect.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. What you just talked about.
Wait, I haven't finished.
Okay, good. Keep on.
Life saving, because also through ministry of Pastor Sunday, or due to ministry of Pastor Sunday and his teachings and his mentorship, many people started their non-government organizations that were solving problems of different spheres of society.
Beautiful.
In sports, in families, in economy, in politics, whatever you take it, motherhood, fatherhood, homeless children, homeless people, people of the older age, of the golden age. Many people received help or were influenced through organizations or movement of non-government organizations that were established by members of God Embassy Church who were mentees of Pastor Sunday.
Awesome.
So this is another aspect of Pastor Sunday's influence on Ukraine.
Wow. Good.
We can speak about economical aspect. We can speak about maybe political aspects. You know, many aspects.
Wow.
It is very difficult to quantify, but we have to admit that impact of Pastor Sunday on Ukraine is very huge.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And it definitely saved many lives. It
Wow.
definitely made many people, many families happy.
Wow, wow.
And prosperous.
And prosperous. Very important. And that's interesting. A lot of videos we've watched of thousands of addicts, I mean drug addicts, you know, who through the rehabilitation program of the church, you know, did not just get over their addiction, but they grew to become saviors and deliverers, you know, even for other people who are suffering from the same issue. And we see pastors, when they share their testimony of being addicts, some were convicts, you know, they spent years in prison, and through the ministry of Dr. Sunday, they got their lives back and they became life givers to people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I love what you said, that it will be very difficult, or maybe not just difficult, but it will be impossible for us to quantify the impact, because it's generational actually.
Yes,
so imagine
that's true.
the impact that you have, and how that impact also, you know, transcends into your family, and then from your family it keeps going from generation to generation. And I guess it's until when Jesus comes and then we begin to see, oh, and then Dr. Sunday is going to be like, oh, so you're from that generation
yeah,
too.
from that generation. This is exponential growth,
impact.
actually. Yeah, exponential impact.
Yeah, and that really is a challenge to us, that we can make our life meaningful. One of the things that Dr. Sunday has said to me that has, you know, revolutionized my life is that, you know, a life lived for self is how did he put it? Is a dangerous life. I mean, and it's really a meaningless life. And to truly live is to live for something beyond yourself. Is to live in service for humanity, you know. And if at all there is any investment you want to make, you know, as a child of God or as a human being, is to invest in people.
Exactly.
You know, and because whatever you invest in would, over time, you know, is it stocks, is it bonds, is it real estate, or whatever, would at some point, you know, go away. But the impact that you're going to make in the lives of people, you can't quantify it.
Exactly.
Like you can't put a limit to it, because you don't know how many lives by just that one life you impacted, how many lives will be impacted by or through that life. And that is just beautiful in every sense of the word. And I'm grateful to God, you know, to hear this kind of testimonies. And I'm hoping that our viewers who are also hearing us today would understand, while we're having this conversation, that this conversation is not to just blow the trumpet of Dr. Sunday and just make it look like, oh, we are making him the God of everybody. No, that's not it. I mean, if that's what you take from it, I mean, it's just a pitiable situation. But what we're saying is there are very core principles and values that Dr. Sunday lives by that has made him who he is today. And those principles and those values can be replicated. And if you can learn from it, and if you can apply it to your lives, you can have a similar result.
Yeah.
Talk about how Dr. Sunday has been able to replicate his values in the lives of Ukrainians, and how they're also producing results.
First of all,
even with your own life, if you can share.
First of all, I wanted just to add to what you have said just now. We are not blowing trumpet, but we are speaking of a man who will be remembered as, for instance, Socrates or Aristotle.
Yeah.
Many people use wisdom of these philosophers of their time. Maybe they were not very good acknowledged or accepted. Mm-hmm. Their teaching was not very well accepted maybe at that days.
Time, yeah.
But now
people are quoting
philosophy is built on their teachings, on their books, on their works. People are quoting them.
That's right.
And it really inspires many people's life, what they were saying and how they lived, experience of their lives. And I believe that now we're just celebrating, as we speak it to, as we do this program, to celebrate Pastor Sunday's birthday, in the celebration of the birthday. So we're speaking about a person who will be remembered.
Interesting. So you're saying that you think and you want to say that Dr. Sunday will be remembered as one of the greats, like the Socrates and like all of those, the Platos of this world and like that.
I believe so, because actually Pastor Sunday has a lot of wisdom, and he shares his wisdom in many ways. He has hundreds of books.
Yeah.
He has thousands of messages. I don't know how many hours of video messages, audio messages that will remain forever in the digital form or in the physical form as books.
Beautiful.
So, and this wisdom, honestly, I had the privilege to publish Pastor Sunday's books, and I had opportunity to go through them, not read all of them, but go through them. And obviously, wisdom that Pastor Sunday shares in his books, it is immortal.
I agree with you. I agree.
And it will live as long as our planet Earth shall spin around the sun.
Yeah, and I feel like that is a very good place for us to actually even end this conversation. Why? Because what you just said sort of answered the question I was even asking about the impact that he has made, even in the lives of people. Because it's almost like his books are the ones carrying his impact. His books, his messages, the things he has been able to produce. Those things are immortal of his impact and his wisdom. And I guess that is just a beautiful place to to wrap up our conversation. But before we end this conversation, I want to ask you if there's anything you'd like to say to Dr. Sunday as we celebrate his birthday, for us to bring our conversation to a wrap.
Well, Pastor Sunday, first of all, I want to say big thank you for your life and for your impact in my life personally, and in lives of those people who surround me, people in the church and in our nation, Ukraine. But also one of the main wishes, just keep on going to achieve your goals, because they are pleasuring God. They are for good, and they are to make kingdom of God here on earth physical and present and live. So thank you, Pastor Sunday, again for everything that you are in my life personally, and in life of many people in our country, Ukraine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much, Mr. Igor. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And I want to hope that our viewers who are watching us have been able to glean some wisdom, some knowledge from the experiences you shared with us today from Dr. Sunday's life. Well, dear viewers, thank you for being here. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening to us. I hope you were blessed by it. Today is day 4. We are continuing this journey till the 28th of May. But before we end today's program, I want us to have a video, a trailer video of a documentary that was done by an amazing brother of ours and a whole team of people that documented the childhood of Dr. Sunday in the village. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon.
Daily Times, June 3rd, 1973, carried this ugly news. Tragedy was the title. Is this a coincidence? They were asking.
ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá ní nǹkan ṣe pẹ̀lú ìdílé màmá òun ègún tó jà wọ́n kù yóò padà sórí onítàn.
Sunday became bitter with himself. He saw no reason to live. Olorunwa became, another him entirely.
And discover a place where she had put all her jewelries, earrings, and all the jewelries. She had a box for it. So I went and took all that box and went to the bush, dug a hole, and buried the whole thing there. There's no life for me. My life was just revolving around this, just to survive.
All right, thank you very much. Well, that documentary would be live. We premiered live on the 27th of May during the program, like the 7 p.m. So please be on the watch out for it. It's going to be an amazing one. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Mr. Igor Kotelnikov for joining today. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you.
It was a pleasure for me too.
Awesome. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Kyiv time, 5 p.m. Nigerian time, UK time. Till we see you tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day, have a wonderful evening, and God bless. Bye for now.